Let me tell you a secret. Most men will never hear from a woman's mouth. The men women chase are rarely the ones who chase them. And no, I'm not talking about ignoring her, being a jerk, or playing childish games. I'm talking about a subtle magnetic quality that makes her lean in instead of pulling away. I've coached men for years and I've seen the same truth repeat over and over. Women are far more drawn to the man who doesn't look like he's trying to win her approval than the one who's bending over backwards to impress her. Today, I'm going to break down why this works, the psychology behind it, and exactly how to use it without becoming cold or careless. Because once you master this, you'll stop asking, why did she lose interest? And start seeing women invest in you. The truth. It's not about not caring, it's about caring correctly. When guys hear women like men who don't care, they picture someone detached, aloof, and borderline rude. That's not what I'm talking about. The truth is, women crave a man who cares about himself first, his standards, his time, his energy, so much that he never hands his entire identity over just to keep her happy. This kind of man is steady. He's not shaken if she's hot one day and cold the next. He enjoys her company, but his life doesn't revolve around her. And here's the kicker. That calm self-assurance reads as strength to her. Point 1. Caring. Too much, too soon screams. No options. Let's be real. Here's where a lot of good men trip up. They meet a woman they're into, and within days, they're texting nonstop, dropping their plans to see her, rearranging their schedule like she's the center of their universe. On paper, sweet. In reality, she's reading between the lines. This guy has nothing else going on. I'm all he's got. When you're too available too soon, you remove all sense of mystery. Women are drawn to men who have their own life because it signals value. The man with options doesn't need to overcompensate. He's not desperate for attention because he knows his worth. I remember coaching a client. Let's call him David. First date went great, and by day 2, he was sending her good morning texts, lunch check-ins, evening calls, and even skipping his gym time just to be with her. Guess how long she stayed interested? 4 days. Why? Because David didn't leave her wondering anything. She already knew he'd drop everything for her. And that's not attractive. When you act like you do have options, even if you're just busy building your life, it makes her wonder, what's so special about him that he's not tripping over himself to impress me? That curiosity is priceless. Point 2. Desire thrives on uncertainty. Think about the last time you got hooked on a TV series. Part of what kept you watching was the suspense, the not knowing what comes next. That's anticipation. That's excitement. Now imagine if the show spoiled the ending in the first 5 minutes. Boring, right? That's exactly what happens when you give a woman all your time, attention, and emotional energy right out of the gate. When you text her good morning and good night every single day, like clockwork. When you respond instantly every single time, you kill the tension that fuels desire. Humans value what we have to work for. And in romance, that's even more true. When she's wondering whether you're free tonight or out living your life, that spark of uncertainty lights up her curiosity. I once told a client, stop giving her the script to the movie before she's even bought the ticket. He cut back on the constant texting, started prioritizing his own hobbies and social life, and within 2 weeks, she was the one reaching out more, asking about his weekend, trying to get on his calendar. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It means letting her feel that you're a man in demand, with or without her. And when she starts wondering what you're doing when you're not talking to her, Congratulations! You're living rent-free in her head. We've just scratched the surface. In the next part, I'm going to show you why not caring is really about emotional self-control and how to set boundaries that instantly raise your value in her eyes. Because if you get this wrong, you risk looking cold and arrogant. But get it right, and she'll respect you and want you at the same time. Point 3. Not caring is really emotional self-control. Let's kill a big misconception right here. When I say women are drawn to men who don't care too much, I'm not telling you to ignore her for days, act cold, or be intentionally rude. That's not strength. That's insecurity in disguise. The kind of not caring that pulls women in is simply this: you are in control of your emotions. It's the ability to keep your cool whether she's showering you with attention or acting a little distant. It's enjoying her company without needing her validation to feel good about yourself. Let me paint you a picture. Two men are on a date with the same woman. Let's call her Maya. The first man is laser focused on making sure she laughs, agrees with everything she says, and bends over backwards to make her comfortable. If she checks her phone, his stomach drops. If she seems distracted, he panics inside, wondering what he did wrong. The second man is relaxed. He's confident in who he is. If she's not vibing with a topic, he smoothly changes it. If she checks her phone, he doesn't flinch, just takes a sip of his drink, lets her finish, and keeps the conversation flowing. Guess which man she's going to be more intrigued by? Exactly, the one who's showing her. I like you, but my self-worth isn't tied to your mood right now. Women can sense when a man's happiness depends on their approval, and nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. But when a man stays centered in himself, she starts to wonder, what's going on in his head? Why isn't he rattled? That curiosity makes her lean in. Point 4. The respect attraction. Link. Here's a truth most men overlook. If she doesn't respect you, she will never truly desire you. Attraction isn't just about looks, charm, or even chemistry. Respect is the foundation everything else sits on, and respect is earned through boundaries. Imagine this scenario. You've been looking forward to a date all week. She texts an hour before saying, "Hey, something came up? Can we rain check?" You reply, "No problem. We'll reschedule whenever you're free." Sounds polite, right? But here's what she's actually learning. You have no standards. You're just happy to be on her radar, even if she treats your time casually. Now flip the script. You reply, "No worries. I prefer to plan ahead, so let's find a day that works for both of us." Notice the difference? You stayed calm, but you also communicated that your time is valuable. Boundaries are not walls, they're gates. They let the right people in and keep your self-respect intact. Women want a man who can lead, make decisions, and set limits, because that's how trust is built. Why respect makes her attraction deeper. Respect changes the entire dynamic. Without it, attraction is shallow and temporary. With it, her attraction becomes emotional, the kind that lasts. When a woman respects you, she sees you as someone whose time, energy, and attention are worth earning. And here's where it gets interesting. When she feels she has to earn you, she actually invests more emotionally. It's human nature. We value what we work for. That's why the man who doesn't trip over himself to please her often gets more respect and more lasting desire than the man who's available at her every whim. One of my coaching clients, Marcus, had a habit of saying yes to every request from the women he dated. Last-minute hangouts, favors, even changing his work schedule. He thought it was showing dedication, but after a few weeks, they'd always pull away. I told him, Marcus, you're not dating them, you're auditioning for them. He started setting boundaries. He stopped canceling commitments to be available. He spoke up when something didn't work for him. Within a month, one woman who had been lukewarm before suddenly became far more invested. Why? Because she could finally respect him. Now that you know emotional self-control and respect are the glue that holds attraction together, we need to talk about the biggest mistake good men make that destroys all of this. It's called overcompensation. And I'm going to show you exactly how it happens, why it screams desperation, and how to avoid it while still being a kind, generous man. Point 5. The danger of overcompensation. This one stings because most good men have been here. You meet a woman you really like and your instinct says, show her how amazing I am so she knows I'm worth her time. So you start stacking up the nice guy points, constant compliments, endless favors, rearranging your schedule the second she's free, buying her little gifts just because. Now here's the problem. Attraction doesn't work like a scoreboard. You don't get to rack up enough nice points for her to suddenly fall for you. In fact, overcompensating usually backfires. Instead of making her feel lucky to have you, it makes her feel like you're trying to convince her to like you. And nothing kills attraction faster than the scent of desperation. Kindness is attractive, but only when it comes from a man who clearly values himself first. When your kindness comes from fear that if you're not constantly doing something for her, she'll lose interest. It stops feeling like kindness. It starts feeling like a bribe. I had a client, Andre, who was textbook too much, too soon. First week of dating a woman named Leah, he sent flowers to her office, fixed a problem with her car, and canceled his basketball night with friends, twice, just because she mentioned she was bored. At first, she smiled and said she appreciated it. By week 3, she stopped responding to half his texts. Why? Because she could feel he was operating from need, not confidence. When I told Andre to step back, focus on his own life, and only give when it was natural, not strategic, something surprising happened. She started initiating more. She started complimenting him. That's because the energy shifted from, I'm trying to win you, to, I'm enjoying my life and letting you in. Point 6. Her brain on dopamine. Now let's pull in the science. When you're not constantly in her face, not flooding her with predictable attention, you're creating anticipation. And anticipation triggers dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical. Dopamine is what makes people binge-watch shows, keep refreshing Instagram, or play just one more round of a game. It's the pleasure of the chase. In dating, it's the reason a woman will think about a man long after she's left him, not because of his looks or money, but because he unknowingly built a little dopamine loop in her mind. Here's how it works. Predictable equals boring. If she knows you'll text good morning every single day at 8:02 a.m., there's no rush, no anticipation. Slight unpredictability equals excitement. If sometimes you text in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, and sometimes you wait until you have something interesting to say, she gets that little dopamine hit wondering, when will I hear from him? Notice I said slight unpredictability, not chaos. The goal isn't to play games or disappear. The goal is to create a rhythm where she gets to look forward to hearing from you instead of expecting it like clockwork. Think about your favorite restaurant. If they serve the exact same dish every single day, eventually, no matter how good it is, it becomes routine. But if they surprise you with a new special once in a while, you stay curious and keep coming back. That's exactly how dopamine works in attraction. Why this works without manipulation. Some guys hear this and think, so I should just ignore her sometimes? Wrong. If you're being cold just to provoke a reaction, that's manipulation, and women can smell it a mile away. What you want to do is simple. Have your own life. Let her feel your interest, but also your independence. Give her moments to miss you. When she's curious about what you're doing, when she's replaying your last conversation in her head, you've just built a natural dopamine loop that makes her want to be around you. Now you know how overcompensation kills attraction and how anticipation fuels it. In the final part, I'm going to show you how to balance all of this so you're never seen as cold or arrogant, but instead as a man who is magnetic, respected, and deeply desired. Plus, I'll give you the exact mindset shift that makes women start chasing you without you lifting a finger. Point 7. The sweet spot between cold and clingy. Let's be clear. I'm not telling you to become the emotionally unavailable guy who treats women like they're disposable. That's not attractive. It's exhausting, and it only appeals to people who are chasing chaos. What I am telling you is this: be warm, but not needy. Be interested, but not invested too early. Think of it like a dance. If you step too close, too fast, you crowd her space. If you step too far back, she thinks you're not interested. But if you match her rhythm, give her space to move toward you, and meet her halfway. That's when the connection feels effortless. The men who pull this off don't play games. They just naturally live in a way that says, I enjoy you. I enjoy my life. I'm good either way. And that's magnetic, because women can feel when a man's attention is a gift, not a plea. Point 8, the internal shift that changes everything. This is where most men get it wrong. They think the goal is to make her like them. The real goal, to become a man you like, a man you respect. First, when you genuinely enjoy your own life, when your self-esteem isn't hanging on her approval, you stop chasing. You start attracting. Your conversations change. Your energy changes. Even the way you walk into a room changes. Women notice a man who's centered, and that's not just confidence, it's calmness. It's the absence of the frantic, needy energy that pushes people away. One of my students, Sam, was in the habit of texting women every single hour just to check in. He was terrified that if he didn't, they'd lose interest. I asked him, what would you be doing right now if you weren't worried about her texting back? He said, probably hitting the gym or working on my photography. So I told him to do exactly that. 2 weeks later, the same woman who was giving him one-word replies started asking when they could see each other again. Why? Because she could feel he was no longer orbiting around her. He was in his own world, and she wanted to be part of it. Point 9, let her chase. Two men forget that attraction is a two-way street. If you're always the one initiating, always the one planning, always the one reaching out, she never has to invest. And when she doesn't invest, she doesn't attach emotionally. So give her the gift of pursuit. If she's into you, she wants to do her part. She wants to send that, hey, when can I see you? Text. She wants to surprise you with something thoughtful. When you allow her to chase, you're not being lazy. You're letting her feel the satisfaction of earning your time. And that makes her value you more, not less. I want you to remember this above all else. Your value is not determined by how much a woman likes you. It's reflected by how you carry yourself, with or without her. If you master emotional self-control, earn respect, avoid overcompensation, and create anticipation, you'll naturally project the kind of energy that makes women curious, excited, and invested. You won't have to force conversations. You won't have to overthink every text. You won't have to prove your worth. It will show in how you live. And that's when you stop chasing and start choosing. If this hits you in the gut and you know you've been overcompensating or clinging too hard in your dating life, don't beat yourself up. You can flip this script faster than you think. I've helped hundreds of men make this exact shift, from feeling like they're always auditioning for women's approval to becoming the man women audition for. So, here's your next step. Commit to just one thing this week that recenters you, whether it's hitting the gym, reconnecting with your friends, or saying no to something that doesn't work for you. Watch how that small act changes the way you carry yourself, because when you respect yourself first, the right women will always follow.